Queen of spades. Four of hearts. Eight of spades. Two of spades. Jack of diamonds. Jack of clubs.
Why have you disturbed our sleep?
Hello, howdy, hi, how. I'm John.
I'm Justin.
And we're Gore Goblins. I fucked that up, but whatever, it's okay.
No, because when you said how, I was about to make a dumb statement.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine. We're the Gore Goblins, the show where we talk about the movies we love,
Some we don't.
and some that we've never heard of, but we've heard of today's. Isn't that right? Cale! Insert the audience applause. Yeah,
Yay.
yeah.
You told me this was InfoWars.
Yeah, well, you know what? Alex Jones is dead. But anyway, what did you think of The Evil Dead, Cale? That's what we watched today, by the way. What did you think of it?
This fucking sucks.
All right, well,
It's too violent.
Damn, right to the point.
I don't know why they had to make it like that.
that's that's fair.
Think of the children.
Yeah. No, seriously, what did you think of The Evil Dead?
I like it. It was one of those series that we watched in reverse when we were kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like we started with Army of Darkness, then worked up to Evil Dead 2, and then to this one.
Uh-huh.
And like watching it again, I see why. Because this movie pulls no fucking punches. Like this shit is vicious.
It's kind of funny that you started with the most tame.
I mean, well, yeah. Like that's how we did that for a lot. Like any series that we watched like way too young, it was always like RoboCop, fucking Terminator. Like we always watched them in reverse. Start with the worst one and then work your way up.
So you started with the Jetpack RoboCop.
Oh yeah, the best one.
The best one. So yeah, that's Cale here, everybody. Good friend of the podcast. So, you know, he's going to show up sometimes. But Justin, what did you think of The Evil Dead?
Evil Dead is great. I love it. I watched it in order because I had never seen it until I watched the remake.
So you saw the remake first and then you watched all of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So you went like extra backwards kind of.
Yeah.
Because you started with the
Kinda.
remake.
Did you know about like the genre shift and all that going into it?
Yeah, because I knew Army of Darkness was kind of more comedy.
Okay.
It definitely is, yeah. Still like it though, but we'll get to that one when we get to that one. Yeah, The Evil Dead. That's a classic. So I didn't watch it for a long time. My first exposure to the series was Evil Dead 2 many moons ago when I was a child, and that was at my uncle's trailer. And my cousin was watching Evil Dead 2. I'm pretty sure with the commentary on because he did that all the time. And so what I remember is Linda dancing headless in Evil Dead 2. That's what I remember, that weird claymation shit. But it wasn't like my experience with The Thing where my brain didn't know how to process it. This was a little more like, oh, okay, I see what's happening.
Yeah, like even as a kid, these movies never really scared me. No. But like there's a lot of imagery that like sticks with you, like them like twitching on the ground, spitting up milk.
Yeah.
And shit like that. Like that and like her like gnawing off her hand.
The pencil in the ankle.
That wasn't
Steal
fun.
my line. I was going to say that.
Well, yeah, that's the one that bothers Justin. But yeah,
or
so,
the one that gets you where he hits her
when
hand
he
while
hits
it's
the
going through the
hamburger
door.
hand?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
it looks like a fucking. Have you seen that? It's like this fucking picture of like raw meat made to look like a pair of feet. That's what it reminds me of.
Oh yeah, and like the onions are like toenails.
Yes,
or
that's
something
what
like
it reminds me of when I see
I've
that
seen that.
shit. I hate it. Anyway, but yeah, so that I didn't watch The Evil Dead until years later. I never watched the remake because that was when I was a snob and I thought horror movies were shitty or whatever I used to tell myself.
Was.
Yeah, shut up. Anyway, so yeah, that was when I was a bigger snob. Pardon, when I was a bigger snob, and I thought horror movies were beneath me because I was like, oh, what's the point of the gore? And then as I got older, I realized, oh, because it's fun.
Exactly.
Quentin
Because it's
Tarantino
so
was
much
right.
fun, Jan.
Quentin Tarantino was right.
Gore is great.
It's so much fun.
That's why it's in our name.
So it absolutely that's not a lie. But so
Yeah, InfoGores.
stop. So then so eventually I bought The Evil Dead on Blu-ray like, I don't know, like 10 fucking years ago, I think, because I didn't watch the remake. I knew it existed, and I was like, well, I'm gonna start where it began, right? So then I remember I watched it, and I think this was the first movie that I saw that was NC-17 or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Which the rating system has always fascinated me for some fucking reason. It's always amazed me how like
It's because that shit's arbitrary.
it absolutely is.
Oh, you showed someone getting disemboweled, but you did show a toilet flushing. So we're gonna have to slap an X on this bad boy.
Yeah, it's weird, and so that was the first movie that I saw that had that rating, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess there's a reason for that. but yeah, I love the Evil Dead. Evil Dead 2, I think, is my favorite, but the first one still like, it's still iconic. It launched a fucking franchise.
Yeah, it's a stark difference in tone, but like it very much accomplishes what it's going for.
I think so too.
Like
yeah.
it just stresses the shit out of you.
And the special features for the Blu-ray, I think, or was it? It might have been on Eli Roth's History of Horror or whatever. Somebody said that if Evil Dead had like a more modest budget and it wasn't just like a super cheap picture, that it probably would be like even more just like one of the best horror films ever made. And I think he meant that commercially, not just critically, because then it would have gotten a wider audience if it had a good budget. And if those effects were better, I think it would have been something like The Thing, where it's just extra horrifying.
Right.
Because I mean the effects hold up for the most part, but it also has this B-movie charm to it that I think works.
Yeah, that's what I was
for
gonna say.
for the franchise in general.
That kind of makes it better. Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't have asked for more from the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, pretty much.
that is true. That's why I think he meant it commercially, because I think that would have given it more money if it had a budget. But good old Stephen King gave the film a ringing endorsement, and that's why I think, or that's part of why it became like such a big deal.
Well, that's what got it picked up by New Line, I think. Like his praise is what got it a distributor.
Was it New Line? It was Lionsgate was the logo before the movie, right? Or was it New Line?
It was something.
was one of those two.
It's what got the movie a distributor.
Yeah, it's what got it the distributor. And then because Stephen King actually saw it at the Cannes Film Festival, where it viewed out of competition, and the Cannes Film Festival is like this fucking gaudy ass fucking French film extravaganza where they award like the best. It's not like a competition, but they award like the best movie of the bunch or whatever, the Palme d'Or or whatever the fuck it's called.
Palme d'Or.
Yeah, and then and so that was viewed out of competition, and Stephen King saw it, and I guess it blew his fucking mind because he loved it. And I think I was reading that he rated it as one of his like top 5 favorite horror movies when he was interviewed not long after seeing it, and he was like, I was seeing things that I'd never seen in a movie before, and I'm like, well, yeah, Sam Raimi does have a pretty distinct visual style, so I believe him.
Tell that to the people who hate on Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah,
because they're stupid.
Yeah, well,
no, they're stupid.
Well.
There's no well.
Okay, I'll give you that actually, because I agree. If that's the only reason.
There's two people shitting on it. There are the Marvel fans shitting on it because it's too Sam Raimi, and then there's the Sam Raimi fans shitting on it because it's too Marvel.
Yeah, because they didn't let Sam Raimi do what he wanted. Because there's that scene of that pre-Viz scene of Scarlet Witch just ripping shit. I don't know. I don't remember if I sent it to you. I might have sent it to you.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
But she breaks. It's pre-Viz, so it's like just stunt actors. And she makes one dude cut his own head off screen.
Damn.
And then she picks up his headless body, and he just starts like killing people. Breaks another dude's, like twists another dude's head around, and then she gets up to this other dude, and she like holds up one of her little fucking red orbs in his face, and then the camera, it's all in one take too. That's the best part. And then the camera moves over to Scarlet Witch's face, and you just see like blood splatter all over it. And then she gets the last guy and just does that old Kenshi fatality where he like twists the body up and then drops it. He does that. And I'm like, man,
we were robbed.
That definitely would have gotten it an R rating, but that still would have been fucking awesome.
Probably why they threw in the robots.
Yeah, yeah, because like you watch that trailer. I guess this is a certified sidetrack segment. Sorry, but you watch that trailer. That first trailer, I remember she had what I thought was blood on her face, but it was fucking oil.
Yeah.
And I felt like a kid again when I had to play Mortal Kombat with the blood turned off. And the only blood was the oil from the fucking robots. And it reminded me of that. And I got like PTSD flashbacks. It was great. But that was, I mean, Multiverse of Madness is like one of the best Marvel movies to come out, I think, in this phase specifically, but also in general, in my opinion, because Sam Raimi, you know, you can hold him down, but he's still going to find a way to make it his own, and it's nice that like he hasn't changed at all. He's still very, very skilled with his editing and the way he sets up camera angles and the sense of movement that he brings to it, and that's on display in this movie for sure. And that's the end of that little sidetrack until we somehow walk into another one.
Until the next one.
Yeah, but a few quick little facts here. Obviously, written and directed by Sam Raimi, came out in 1981. Was very commercially successful. This shit had a budget of about $375,000, most of which was gathered by just a variety of different investors. I think Sam Raimi said he didn't go to any family because they weren't going to bother. But one of the guys he went to was some dude that he was in line trying to get some film printed at Kmart. And this guy was like, man, that's a lot of film you got. Like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, well, I'm making a horror movie. And it was Within the Woods specifically, which was the horror movie they made as like a
proof of concept.
Like a proof of concept, yeah. And so that way they could show it to investors to get the money so they could make it better. And so then he screened it for this guy who was a producer, and he was like, "Oh, he's like, I'll give you money for this." He's like, "I want to be a part of this." He's like, "'Cause you got something here." And I just think that's funny that he just met a dude at a fucking Kmart. R.I.P. by the way to the Kmart in town. But you know,
yep,
that's very good times. I got so much neck pain from playing fucking GameCube games in the video.
Oh, and just craning your neck out.
I got burned by a battery acid there.
That's a story. Wow. I see. The worst thing that happened to me there was I bought the album Silver Side Up by Nickelback.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's worse.
That's the worst thing that happened to me.
Yeah, that's worse
there.
than battery acid.
Yeah, you got burned. You got burned in your own way.
See, because when I was a kid, I loved How You Remind Me, and Mom bought it for me because she knew I liked that song. Bless her heart, love her. But and I, you know, when I was a kid, I liked that album a lot, and it still has like kind of a soft spot for me. But nothing else except for Rockstar, because that one makes you mad sometimes. But that's besides the point, because it made a lot of money. It made between. See, I got two different numbers here. It said it made between 2.7 and 29.4 million.
That's a pretty big gap.
That is a very big gap. And I don't know the specifics because this is off of fucking Wikipedia, and they're not going to tell me the specifics.
It did well.
It did very well, yes.
I think especially international. I think they said in the commentary, like, it didn't do very well domestically, but it made a lot of money.
Internationally is where it made a lot of its money. And it was also critically successful at the time of release, with, obviously, as time went on, it gained a cult following, and now it's like, you know, obviously it spawned a giant franchise.
Which is kind of surprising because The Thing got shit on when that came out.
Yeah. Yeah. I know I told Cale this, but did I ever tell you that Guillermo del Toro was talking about how he was having lunch with John Carpenter one day, and he was talking to John about how, like, you know, it must be incredible, he's like, to see the reception of The Thing, he's like, and how it's grown into this cult darling, and how great it is, and how the visual effects still hold up. Isn't that something to be proud of? And John Carpenter was just like, what fucking good does it do me now? And then Guillermo del Toro was like, I nodded my head and we just had our lunch. And I was like, no, that's fair though. I'd be fucking bitter too, man. You put your heart and soul into a remake of one of your favorite horror movies just to have it shit on? Fuck that, man. But anyway, 95% on our favorite website, Rotten Tomatoes.
Fuck that
with
website.
a consensus of, this classic low-budget horror film combines just the right amount of gore and black humor, giving The Evil Dead an equal amount of thrills and laughs. Yeah, that was one thing I was going to say, was even though it's definitely got a more of a horror tone, it's still got funny parts.
Oh, there's plenty to laugh at.
There's plenty to laugh at. Yeah, you got what was the one that got us early on when they're in the car and they're talking about something.
How they're almost there and she's just like, yeah.
Yeah, and then it goes back to
Yeah.
Ash and he says something, and then it goes back to her and she's like, yeah. And it's just this little moment that, I don't know, it's the camera work is what made it funny for me. But yeah, so that's the backstory on it. And I know Cale took notes.
Yep.
And then I took notes about, I guess, more of the backstory. Like, did you take notes from like researching it, or just when you watched it?
Just when I
normally?
watched it.
Just when you watched it normally. Alrighty. Well, let's go into some more backstory. I don't know why I said that's it for the backstory. I'm a fool. But anyway,
Who likes Tool?
yes, I do. You're right. Sam Raimi, the god that he is, got the idea for the film from studying the Book of the Dead in ancient history class at the University of Michigan, which I think is funny because he was like, I just figured that'd be a good like name for a horror movie like that, because it was going to be called the Book of the Dead.
Yeah, Book of the Dead.
And then there was a distributor that was like, well, we're going to call it the House of the Dead, which is hilarious to me because, you know, that became its own fucking thing.
Great game, terrible movies.
Well, terrible voice acting in those games too.
Hey, that's part
But
of the
that's
charm.
part
of
of
that
the
game.
charm, exactly. I was gonna say, but yeah, it was gonna be called House of the Dead, and his specific reasoning was because no movie with house or dead in the title didn't make money. So even like when you're trying to make an independent film, you still have producers that are like, well, it's got to make money because they're gonna want their money back.
Yeah.
And Sam Raimi eventually was able to, you know, pay everybody back. And I think I forgot who. There was another producer that just like gave him the money, like gave him enough money to pay back all of his investors, and that was a big deal. And everybody got what they put into it and more. And obviously, being independent filmmakers, because Rob Tappert was the producer, him and Sam Raimi are like best buddies, I guess, and Bruce Campbell. All of them kind of decided to make a horror movie because they're easy to make. This one wasn't easy to make though. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff.
That commentary is a gold mine.
It's incredible. So going back to the movie itself though, before I get into all that, I wrote down that in the commentary, Raimi was talking about how his film professor came to see the screening of it, and he was like, Sam, did you learn nothing from my class?
That's right.
He's like, you can't just do a bunch of crazy sequences and crazy camera angles and call it a movie. And then in contrast to that, Bruce Campbell loves to tell this story because a little old lady was at one of the screenings, and she was like, and you know, she's like, I want to speak to you boys, and you know, they were all like, oh, we're gonna get like our finger wag and all that shit. And then she was like, I was having a really bad day, and this thing just knocked me out. I loved it. It was a great old time. And so little old ladies love it, which reminds me of the one time I went to go see Book of Mormon, and there was an old-ass woman with a walker there, and I was just like, what is she doing here? And then I look over to her when all these terrible jokes are happening, and she's laughing her ass off, and I'm like, good. And then that also reminds me of when I went to a nightclub, and there was an old woman with a fucking walker, just with the fucking glow sticks around her neck and everything.
Strolling by the dance floor.
Just strolling over to the bathroom.
Living her best life.
And I was like, God, I hope that's me, man. That's how I want to be. Her hearing shot and she doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
She's just fucking strolling.
She feels the bass. She gets it.
Absolutely.
That's what keeps her
yeah.
alive.
Yeah, it keeps her heartbeat going.
But yeah, the commentary, a good chunk of the commentary is about how they got the movie invested, like how they got it produced and all of that. But you do get a few details about how miserable the filming was, because the cabin was in Morristown, Tennessee, and the pre-production team had to stay there. It was 13 people, and they all had to stay there because the house was a piece of shit when they got it, and so they had to like completely renovate it to suit their purposes, and then they ended up, you know, destroying half of it. And what's funny is the owner of the cabin was like, yeah, I want it in better condition than it was when I gave it to y'all, by the way. I wanted it like pristine condition. So they had to, Sam Raimi and Rob Tappert were talking about how like they were like going to hardware stores like off of no sleep because they were working the whole time off of no sleep, going to hardware stores to buy like rafters to make the roofing better and shit.
Well, that like when they got there, like the floor was like covered in cow shit.
Yeah,
And they had to like shovel all that out.
They had to shovel all that out.
Like,
they had to make the cellar.
That like the walls were rotting, so like if you look in the background of some shots, like some will have one paneling, and on the other side it'll just be plaster because they just had to like haphazardly just cover up.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty, but they made it work. I think in one of Bruce Campbell's autobiographies, he was talking about how it was so cold that like when they were done with a certain piece of furniture during filming, they would just burn it so that way they'd have warmth.
Oh yeah, they did a bunch. I mean, you can see in some of the shots like breath,
Yeah.
like whenever they breathe.
Yeah.
There's this one story they tell. They had like this heater, like to combat the cold. They had like this fucking jet heater, like
my
industrial strength shit. Like not for use indoors is what it said on it. they didn't give a shit, and like it was so cold. Like they was like start like nudging closer and closer to it. And then they would turn around and notice that like their winter coats were on fire.
Oh
so,
my God.
So they just have to run outside, like pat themselves out, roll around.
Oh my God.
Rob was saying by the end of it, they didn't have winter coats anymore because they just burned the shit away.
Yeah, and I don't remember which of the actresses it was. It wasn't Ellen or Betsy Brandt. Not Betsy Brandt. What's her name? Is it Betsy Brandt? Betsy something, isn't it?
Something or other.
Yeah, Betsy and Ellen. Though that's Cheryl and Linda, and then the one that plays the other one, she would use all the hot water to take a shower. Which I mean, but that's that's what I would do. But that's just me. But in the commentary, they were talking about how they would like have a rotating like cast of people that would stand guard to make sure like. Because they were in the middle of the woods, like during hunting season too, I think. Because they would talk, they would also talk about like how hunters would just be coming through with dogs, just hunting, and they would have to stand guard to make sure like no vagrants or anything like that came and like stole any of their filming equipment because they were renting all of it.
I mean, they had like their power tools stolen, like in the middle of the night.
And they talked about that too. Yeah.
They were saying like, yeah, they took our power tools, but not like the $20,000 camera
just
or like the $5,000 mic sitting next to it.
What am I gonna do with a fucking camera?
Yeah, like they couldn't use it.
That's probably I mean the practical at least. But in this particular story, it was Sam Raimi's turn to stand guard, and he was like up in a nearby cemetery, like in the fetal position because he was so cold. And Rob Tappert found him, and he was just like, "I want to die, Rob." He's like, "Just fucking kill me."
Well, actually, like you got like what happened was, it was his turn to like sleep in the cabin, so he's sleeping there. He wakes up in the middle of the night, and someone is sitting next to him, drinking moonshine. He has no idea who the fuck this guy is. It's a complete stranger. And so Sam just gets up, gets the hell out.
Oh, okay.
And then just goes up the hill and sleeps in a graveyard.
Yeah, and he's like, "I want to die." He's like, "Just kill me, Rob." And then so I think Rob Tappert went inside, got him some coffee.
No, he just like got blankets.
Or no, he got the blanket.
And just went up and just threw him.
Yeah, and then he just threw him on him, and he was like, "Thank you." And then that was that. And then I think Rob said after that he got coffee. It was because I know he mentioned coffee at some point, and I was like, "Yeah, okay." And then Bruce Campbell talked about how there was how Sam and Rob would constantly like play pranks on each other and shit, and then they were talking about the logistics of a firecracker fight and how you have to like you have to light it and throw it and run, but and you want to like get the fuse short enough, but you want to make sure you're not holding on to it or you're not in the line of fire when it goes off.
Yeah,
that's some risky business.
Yeah.
I tried that.
I bet you did.
Didn't work.
You have a lot of stories that I don't like to hear about.
Yeah, that was deep into the shoot. They were saying like everyone else had like gone home to their families for like Christmas break.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And then they'd come back to Apocalypse Now, seeing all of them just going insane, throwing firecrackers at each other.
And then speaking of Apocalypse Now, Bruce Campbell was talking about how he had like PTSD from like Vietnam PTSD, where he would be home just sleeping on the floor of his bedroom, and his mom would walk in like, "Bruce, you got a bed there?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, but this is how we would have done it back in the cabin." and that's great. Bruce Campbell was tortured especially, and I'm going to get into that. But another story was that he got home one night covered in blood, and he had to like sit in a hot shower for hours, like just to get all the blood to melt because it was frozen because it was so cold.
That and his corn syrup.
Yeah, and it was corn syrup, which is even worse.
That shit is a nightmare.
And he just had to sit there and let it melt off of him. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, that sounds like a nightmare. But what's also the nightmare is how they got the white eyes for the Deadites. So they were like glass lenses. Bruce Campbell describes it as like putting Tupperware in your eye. And the way it had to be done was there was an applicator. It wasn't just like, like a regular contact lens you put on your finger. It was a whole ass fucking applicator where Bruce would have to, because Bruce was the responsible one. So he would have to do it, and they would just hold their eyes open, or he would just hold their eyes open and just pop it in there. And then that was it. 15 minutes at a time, no more than 5 times a day, but they definitely broke the ladder rule.
I mean, that's they were talking about that. Yeah, optometrists saying like, yeah, like no longer than 15 minutes. You can't take them in and around more than 5 times a day, and they're just like, yeah, 100, got it, absolutely.
Oh, we got it. Yeah, that was quickly broken because Sam Raimi liked to torture his actors because he thought that was how he got the best performance out of them. Poor Ellen Sandweiss had to run around in like little moccasins and a nightie in the 40-degree weather, and then the tree thing, which we'll talk about. But there's the tree thing, and a whole lot going on, and and then Bruce Campbell said that every member of the cast and crew got injured at some point. They called it the latex point, I think. Yeah. I think was what they called it.
The latex point was and it happened enough times that they had a fucking name for it. It's just the point where the actors would just psychologically break because they just could not have the prosthetics on them anymore.
Yeah, all that makeup and shit, man.
Would just drive them insane.
It was because these weren't like professionally done, like you're in a makeup chair comfortable being put on. These are like fucking guerrilla style makeup effects. It could not have been comfortable.
No.
And poor Ellen Sandweiss having to wear it the most and be in that fucking cellar for so long. And and yeah, it's I think I would have reached that point very quickly personally, because no. And Bruce's brother at some point even got injured. He like fell off a cliff or some shit.
Well, there's a point where in the commentary for like 30 minutes they're just listing off all the different injuries that happened. Bruce doesn't specify what he means. He just says that his brother Don fell off a cliff.
Yeah, that's what.
And then just like locked himself in a bathroom and just laid in the bathtub all night. and Bruce is like banging on the door, like, dude, like you need to go to the hospital. You might have a concussion or a broken leg.
Oh yeah.
And Don was like, I'm fine.
I'm fine. He just limped around for a bit. That's what I wrote.
That's what I would do.
I know that's what you would do. Yeah. And then you read about the black hole that Bruce got.
Yeah.
So that part where Linda reaches out and like scratches his leg, that appliance when it was taken off, it like there was like some like ingrown hair or something that it affected, and like he still has a scar, like a dent in his fucking leg from just this nasty ass black hole that just formed like out of nowhere. And then there was the ankle story too, which I'll let you've heard that one, right, Cale?
Oh, did they say it on the commentary?
I think so. It was when Bruce, after they got done filming that scene, I think, and Bruce was like, "Yeah, thank God the scene's over," and he tripped on a hill and he's like, "I think I broke my ankle." He's like, "It was a really bad sprain."
They were just rapid firing this shit. I wrote down what I could
because he like sprained his ankle so bad. And Rob Tafford and Sam Raimi would just fucking poke it with a stick just to get to him. And Bruce said I was cold and delirious and in pain, so I'd like laugh. He's like, so I guess they thought I fucking liked it or something. He's like, but I did it. It was awful. He's like, it would hurt. He's like, I'm pretty sure I broke my ankle. And that reminded me personally of when I was on a tennis court one time and I tripped on a tree branch we were at the tennis court in Terry, first of all. Where the fuck did a tree branch come from? That's our old high school.
Someone put it there.
Where the fuck? Yeah, you probably did, Justin. Off of some crazy convoluted ass backstory, you probably did.
Some bitch is gonna trip on
this. No,
this.
the second I was able to leave school, I left.
But I tripped on this branch and landed on my wrist. My palm touched my forearm. I couldn't feel my hand for like 10 minutes.
I broke my wrist the same way, actually.
But I didn't break it. That's the thing, because I can still move it. But like to this day, my forearm is fucked. Like I don't have any endurance in it.
No.
How'd you break your wrist?
I was standing on a swing.
Oh my god!
And then my brother started pushing me, and then he kept pushing me, and it got to the point where I was about like parallel to the ground.
Oh my god!
I was like, yeah, I don't like this anymore. So I jumped off and then landed back of my hand first.
I busted my lip like that once. I was in kindergarten, and all the other cool kids were jumping off like a high point of the fucking like jungle gym, not jungle gym. It was like a little like play castle, and they were jumping off the highest point, landing on their feet. I'm like, I want to be cool. I just eat shit. Yeah. I just eat shit and bust my fucking lip open, start crying immediately.
Nothing cooler than that.
Yeah, and I was like, oh god, it fucking hurt, dude. Yeah. I'm glad I didn't break my face open though.
You know what's worse?
What?
If you jump off a high point, like the stupid fire pole thing, like
yeah.
I decided to just jump off instead of slide down the pole.
This
So
would be more fun.
I didn't like brace my upper body for the
Oh
landing.
my god.
So my body crumbled and I kneed myself in the chin.
Oh, in the chin?
Yes.
Oh my god. Oh,
It
gross.
was like the pain that you get so mad, but it's your own fault.
Yeah.
You can't blame anybody else but yourself.
Start punching yourself.
One time, I got injured with a swing set. One time, I was 2 years old, and some kid threw it in my face, and it knocked out one of my front teeth. and it was before my adult teeth had formed, so I was just fucked, and I didn't have two front teeth until like 7th grade,
Oh god.
because my adult tooth was just stuck in my gums. And they had to do surgery because there was a foreign object blocking it. It was another fucking tooth just in there. I still have it somewhere in like a fucking drawer. But they took it out, and then they attached a chain to it when I had braces. And then the chain had to slowly pull that tooth down. And then they removed 4 other teeth, which was a blessing in disguise because my wisdom teeth came in. And I didn't have to go through all that shit. Thank God. Because I don't think... I'm a weak man. I would not have survived getting my wisdom teeth pulled. Absolutely not. But yeah, those are some of our injuries, I guess, if we're talking about injuries.
Yeah.
Didn't happen while making a cult classic film, but you know what? At least we made some friends along the way.
I mean, like, honestly, all of these sound worse. Like, now that I'm
Yeah.
reading them. There's one Josh Becker, like, dropped down from the rafters and landed straight on a nail. And it just went, like, through his foot.
Oh, no.
And that put him out of commission for about a week.
Oh, no.
Even worse than that, similarly, Rob Tappert was, like, adjusting lights
Oh, yeah.
while in the rafters, lost his footing, fell, and a nail went through his jeans
yeah.
into his leg, and he was hanging upside down by this nail.
And the other, they had to, like, get him off of it, right?
Yeah, like Sam and Bruce had to, like, lift him off of it and, like, get him down.
And but I think he was like, yeah, I'm fine.
No, there's no medical attention.
No
for
medical
any,
attention
for
because
any of this.
they were in the remote woods, yeah. But also, moving away from the injuries for a little bit, the Coen brothers, one of my favorite filmmaking duos, were involved with the production. Joel helped edit it, and Ethan, I think, helped with like AD stuff, I think, or sound or something. I can't remember exactly what Ethan did, but I know Joel did the bulk of it.
Yeah, I saw his name in the credits.
Yeah, because by chance Sam had met Ethan, and Ethan like did some other. I think he helped with reshoots or something like that. I can't remember the specifics. But yeah, and then there's the stick story there. Oh, and Bruce Campbell did all of his own stunts. I mean, everybody did, but especially Bruce.
Sounds about right.
Because like everybody during reshoots, especially. Because Sam like felt that he was missing something from the mountain of footage that he already had. They had these things that they called fake Shemps, which is a reference to the Three Stooges. But basically, like I think Ted Raimi was one of the more prolific ones. They would just dress up anybody as a given character and then shoot them from behind. So like when Cheryl's banging on the door towards the end of the movie, that's I think that's Ted Raimi. I'm pretty sure that's Ted, and he's just banging on the door, and then they just had different stand-ins like that.
I mean, yeah, because by the end, like all the actors had quit.
Yeah.
So they just had to find whatever they could to keep that movie going.
Yeah, and I think Ellen Sandweiss was talking about, and Betsy too, were both talking about how like they didn't think the movie was ever going to come out. Like they thought. And that's why Ellen was like, that's why I agreed to do the tree scene, because, I just wanted to do whatever to get the shoot over with. She's like, because, I didn't think anybody was going to fucking see this movie. Like, anybody.
I mean, they were filming in 1979, and then
79.
Shit didn't come out till 2 years later.
Yeah, 81, yep. And like I mentioned earlier, Sam Raimi liked to torture the cast because, like they would reach that latex point. And then Sam would be like, all right, now come on, let's go. Let's keep filming. A lot of my favorite directors do that. David Lynch does that a lot too. But like he did that with the story I told you about Naomi Watts in the High Tension video or episode. And, because, I mean, that's when you get the best performances sometimes. But like also there's moral questions to be asked about this of whether or not it's ethical to torture like the Shelley Duvall thing with Stanley Kubrick in The Shining, like he fucking treated her like shit. And I know like now she says that, oh yeah, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. And that may be true, but she still was psychologically tortured by Stanley Kubrick. And I mean, it works in the film, but like there's ethical questions to be raised about this. But so he wanted to get the most out of it. He really wanted to push the actors. And part of the reason the latex point would happen too is because they would use acrylic paint for a lot of the applications and makeup, and that's not easy to remove. It would hurt. I think the guy that played Scotty lost part of an eyebrow from like ripping it off. It was bad, dude. They would have to scrub it off with like a certain type of cloth, but like it was not comfy at all. He tortured Bruce the most. Yep. And Edgar Wright was in one of the special features on the DVD talking about how he thought it was so funny that Sam Raimi like almost went to jail in London because he was brought up on obscenity charges. Kind of like what happened to the director of Cannibal Holocaust, where he had to bring in. I mean, Sam didn't have to bring in the actual actors, but it was considered a video nasty in the UK, which is basically anything that's gory.
Yeah.
And you know, Sam was brought up on fucking obscenity charges, and he almost went to jail. Like, that's crazy that he would have gone to jail for making a fucking movie.
I mean, that'd be the best reason to go to jail, though.
And that's what Eli Roth said. Yes, that is. He's like, it would have been worth it. Yeah, he's like, I think it would have been worth it. And yeah, it would have been. But yeah, the tree rape scene, huh? Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Just diving right in.
Yeah.
Like the tree did.
Yeah, unfortunately. It's funny because I saw a review on Letterboxd where somebody gave this movie 3.5 stars, and they said it's minus half a star because of the tree rape scene, and I'm like, that's fair.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, I mean, I get it. I can't really dispute that. But I feel bad for Ellen Sandweiss because she was at the premiere of the movie, and I was telling Justin when we were watching it that that last tree branch that like penetrates her or whatever was added in post. I'm not sure how it was added in post. But she said she had no idea that was going to be it. She's like, I knew about the vines. She's like, I knew about the legs being separated. And she's like, but like the editing and all that stuff, I did not know it was going to be like that. She's like, so I have like my mom and my dad and my whole family watching this movie, and I'm just fucking mortified. She's like, but as time went on, I got a sense of humor about it, you know? So like now I'm just happy to be a part of it. And they actually, her, Betsy, and I wish I could remember the other actress's name, but they all...
Oh, well, she had like 2 different names.
Yeah.
Like I checked on like IMDb, both for Scotty and her.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think she's credited as Siri York.
Okay.
But her actual name is Teresa Tilly.
Yeah, that's what it was,
like
Teresa
that.
Tilly, yeah. And they started this group, Ladies of Evil Dead, where they would just go to different conventions with Bruce Campbell and shit and just sign autographs and stuff. And I don't know if they still do that. I would imagine they do, but this was like a thing they did in like the mid-2000s. But you know...
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of laughed later on, like when Scotty comes back in and he's all beat to shit.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, you know what happened to him.
Yeah, he got with the bone sticking out of his fucking wrist and shit. But yeah, Sandweiss, you know, like I said, eventually warmed up to it, and she even reprised her role as Cheryl, season 2 of Evil Dead,
Yeah.
Ash vs. Evil Dead,
And the game.
and the game too. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, she was. So she's very happy with it. Teresa Tilly, there's her name. Look at that.
I
Teresa
think,
Tilly.
and yeah, Ellen and Bruce were the only ones in Within the Woods.
Yeah. Everybody else was, I think, just answered like.
That was Scott Spiegel. That's who Scotty's named after.
Yeah.
And then some other non-actress as Shelley.
Yeah. And then, what was it? Oh, yeah, Teresa Tilly was, like, traumatized by contacts because as she got older, she had to go to the eye doctor, and she said she wanted contacts instead of glasses. And she said that, the optometrist did not want her to come back because they had such a hard time getting her to calm down because she did not want anything near her eye. And, yeah, I mean, I don't blame her. Because having to wear shit like that, fuck, man. I don't think... I mean, you suffer for your art, but that's a little too much for me. The fog that was used during the filming was oil-based.
What?
Yeah, it was... And it made... And there's an hour's worth of footage of, behind-the-scenes stuff where you get to see the actors get closer to the latex point. There's one shot of Ellen running through the woods, and she, trips and, scrapes her knee, and she's like, God damn it! And then it cuts, and then there's another one of Linda getting, the milk and shit poured into her mouth, and, and then she's just, and Sam's, directing her, and she's like, telling him to hurry up so she could just spit it out, because that's that shit must have tasted nasty, man.
Ugh.
I can't even fucking imagine. But in that footage, you hear them start up the fog machines and like it sounded like fucking lawnmowers. And they said that it was oil based, and according to Ellen, it was toxic, which I fully believe. And
Well, yeah, if it's oil based.
Just breathing oil.
And Bruce said the worst part of it was when they would, like, at the end, when the book's being burned, and they would have to, like, make it look like they were smoking, they would have to come in, like, under their clothes and shoot it, and you just get a face full of it. And I'm like, man.
That's like, even just cleaning the oil traps at my job is just horrifying to smell. Like, it burns, and it's so fucking gross.
Yeah.
And, like, I spray it with the water hose. One time, the shit just splattered back and got on my face, so I had to smell it for the entire day.
Shit.
It's like in District 9 when Charlton Copley opens that little tube, and it just fucking gets all over his face. Just like that. That's what I envisioned.
Instead of turning into a prawn, Justin just gets whiter.
Yeah, he's a Cracker Barrel. But anyway, the film was shot on 16 millimeter with a rented camera, and you can tell it's low budget. Raimi's unique camera style required the crew to make several elaborate low-budget rigs because they couldn't afford a camera dolly.
Oh, you know what shot I really liked?
Which one?
When he's taking, what was her name, Cheryl, right?
Yeah.
Trying to take her out of town, and he gets out of the car before walking to the bridge. How the car stays perfectly straight, but he's tilted.
Yeah.
I don't know why I really like that shot a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good shots. I think that was like a perspective trick, or like he was like on the edge of the trail or something.
Probably.
I don't know, but it did look cool though. I know what you're talking about. And then like for a lot of the scene where like Cheryl's getting chased specifically, Sam had to just he had like this plank of wood that was rigged to this camera, and he was just running behind her, and he had to like jump over stumps and shit to make sure he didn't trip, and it was misty, so like the man was dedicated. In fact, I saw that he described this as like his rite of passage as a filmmaker. Like he was going through the fucking trials like Hercules did. Like that's what it feels like. But yeah, in the final the final shot specifically was a bike. The camera was mounted on a bike, and Sam Raimi just rode it through the house.
Directly into Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, that's an urban legend though. Where I don't remember if it was in the biography or where I read it that Bruce Campbell just started that rumor that he had like gotten like severely injured.
It like left a scar in his chin or something like that.
Something like that. And then he's like, we were just fucking with people though. That didn't actually happen. And also the last little piece of info that I wrote down was that the initial cut of the film was 117 minutes long, and a lot of the scenes that were eventually cut from this were scenes of the main characters lamenting their inability to save their friends. The film was cut down to 85 minutes because then it would be less depressing and more marketable. Because I think it would have significantly altered the tone if we had more shots like Teresa Tilly being like, why is she making those noises, you know? And just like traumatized that Cheryl's all like fucked up.
Her eyes.
Yeah, her eyes. And then Justin was like, her eyes are what she's worried about? Like, her face looks like all, like, fucking hamburger meat.
I mean, and speaking of good shots, like, just that whole scene being from Cheryl's POV.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites, man.
Like any other director would just had that scene, like, in another room and, like, had them talking, but now, like, it's just, like, Cheryl, like, eyeing them.
That's like a fucking Carpenter shot, man.
Yeah,
like what he did in Halloween. That's what it reminded me of, and I love scenes like that where it plays out like it just plays out like normal, and I love stuff like that. But yeah, I guess now we'll get into the meat of the movie, if you will, and we'll do but we'll do an overall plot summary, talk about some of our favorite scenes, you know how we do. We didn't do a last episode because that was 2 movies, and fuck that, but we're gonna do it today. And Cale has got his notes that he wrote down, so he'll be giving a lot of commentary, probably.
I mean, it's just stream of consciousness bullshit.
Yeah, that's all right. That's what we want. That's what we want, baby. That's all it's gonna be for me and Justin. So Justin,
Yo.
why don't you start by telling us how the movie begins?
How the movie begins. Isn't it just, it starts with the little POV of the demon in the forest, right?
Yeah.
Watching the cars drive by.
Well, it starts with like that PowerPoint title card.
Yeah, that's
like the squiggly text.
Squiggly lines, yeah. The Evil Dead. And then it's
And
the
you
it's
thought
the
there was
fog,
no
right?
sound, but there was sound.
Yeah, I
I
thought
was
there
like,
was-
how did you not hear it?
I didn't hear it. I thought it was dead silent.
Yeah, it's like real quiet, and then you just hear like a little crescendo building up. But yeah, it's watching the cars, and then that's when we get introduced
Meet
to,
all the characters in the car.
to the classic, the best character of the
Yeah.
film, Sam Raimi's classic that's been in
Delta
every
88.
single movie that he's ever directed. It was in all 3 Spider-Mans. It was even in Multiverse of Madness. It was in
Yeah.
everything. So that's I love that. I love that he's had that in every fucking movie that he's ever made. Even in Army of Darkness, somehow he made it. He made it work.
That was in Quick and the Dead, which is like an actual western.
That's true.
They just stripped it down to the chassis and put a carriage over it.
That's right. That's right. They did. I remember reading about that. But yeah, so yeah, then we meet all the characters. Ashley J. Williams, our final boy.
I don't know if I saw this right, but like I swear he spikes the camera like the first time he's on screen. Like it's just his face and he's just like smiling directly at the camera. Like maybe I wasn't seeing it right.
I think he did.
No, he definitely did.
Okay,
He's
just
got
making
that
sure.
shading grin with his fucking unibrow. Yeah.
And his voice that sounds like it's pitch shifted up for some reason.
We got Discount Han Solo, aka Scotty. We got I don't remember his girlfriend's name. Do you remember his girlfriend's name? It's Teresa Tilly's character.
Shelley.
Shelley. Okay, and then we have Linda, Ash's girlfriend, and then Cheryl, Ash's sister, the best girl. My favorite girls always die the most horrible deaths, and always fucking, spoilers by the way, always fucking get the shit end of the stick, and it makes me sad.
In her case, literally.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she was the final girl in Within the Woods.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, and Within the Woods, she said that it was nice in an interview because she's like, I got to beat up on Ash. She's like, I got to beat up on Bruce Campbell as opposed to everybody beating up on me. But yeah, so they're on the way to this cabin.
Huh. So could you say maybe the remake did more of the original story then? If that's
Within the Woods?
kind of. It sounds like it. From,
Well, Within the Woods only had 4 characters.
Yeah.
Two couples.
Uh-huh.
I'd say the remake still adhered pretty close to this plot. Like you got 2 guys, you got their girlfriends, and then you got one of the guy's sisters.
Yeah.
I think it's like the main character just shifted over to the sister.
Yeah, because Mia's the sister. That's right.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, so we're introduced to all of them. They're all chatting it up about this cabin or
that
whatever.
they're on the way to because they got it for cheap for some
yeah.
reason.
Yeah, Scotty got for cheap, or they're gonna party like it's
Yeah.
1999.
We get Sam and Rob cameos as fishermen.
Yeah, as the fisherman, but we get
They're
our first.
happily waving, and
Yes.
Scott's just like, "What? I'm not honking at you, you stupid fucking redneck!
And then he's like, Jesus Christ.
Nerve of these people.
Yeah, fucking
How dare you
Bums.
happily wave at me?"
fucking bitch ass fisherman. But then there's I said peace ass, and then that reminded me of a fucking clip from Red Letter Media. Big fan of that, by the way. But it's a clip of Red Letter Media where Rich is talking to Jay about some movie. And he's like, "Oh, is it gonna be like that Sasquatch movie?" And then Jay's like, "What'd you say?" And then Rich is like, "Oh, you heard me. You're gonna put a caption under it." And then it like cuts to the next part because they put the caption under him when he said it. And he's like, "Oh, you heard me. You're gonna put the caption." And it's just hard cuts, which is like that other one we watched. I think we watched it where like he hurts himself somehow, and he's just like, "Oh fuck!" And then it's just like hard cut. I love the hard
Yeah.
cuts they do.
I think so. That's probably the Jenga one.
I think it was the Jenga one. But yeah, so we get our first taste of like Sam Raimi's camera work here because we have and editing style where we have like quick shots between Bruce or Ash trying to find his way on a fucking map, and then like extreme close-ups and Dutch angles on this fucking red truck that's coming towards them, this red pickup, and it says, what did it say, like something Mary, and you thought it said something Mark, and I thought that was funny because you thought a Y looked like a K.
Well, it's because
Lazy
on-
Mary?
It had
Yeah,
two,
Lazy Mary.
It had 2 the 2 pictures or stickers, whatever
Two
that said
decals,
that.
yeah.
But one of them on the Y, it has like a crack because it's old. That's
Yeah.
why I thought it said Mark.
He's like Lazy Mark, and I'm like, Lazy Mary, can you read? And then I slapped him.
Because I only looked at that initial one before I saw the other one.
Yeah, but then the truck almost runs into them, and then like
Well, they blamed Ash's shitty car on that.
yeah, they blamed
Yeah.
the steering wheel.
But no, it was the demon.
He's the only thing that works is this damn horn, and then that's when he honks, and then those 2 fishermen are like, "Hey, how you doing, buddy?" And then and he's like, I wasn't talking to you. And he commits a hate crime by shooting one of them. That's a cutscene, by the way. But then, they keep going. They go across a bridge, and Ash is all like, oh, don't worry, this bridge is fucking...
Strongest bridge ever.
Strongest bridge ever.
Solid as a rock.
And then it immediately fucking breaks. And the tire gets stuck, and then Ash opens the door. He's like, "Whoa!" It was very cartoonish.
There's water down there.
And then he closes the door, and I think they don't get out to push it. They just
it
rev
just
it,
goes.
Right? Yeah.
Rev it
And then we get a cool tracking shot as it follows the car going through the woods.
That's one of my favorite shots too. Yeah. That tracking shot. And there were pictures too of like how Sam Raimi like filmed. I think the truck sequence. Is they were just in the back of this shitty van with the doors open, and Sam just had his camera, and he could have easily died, but he didn't, thank God. And so eventually they get to this cabin, right?
Yep.
It's already spooky because you got this fucking chair. What do you call them?
It's like a swinging bench,
Like a swinging bench.
on the porch,
There we go.
It's just constantly hitting
like
the
slamming
wall.
into the wall.
I like that moment a lot too, because Scotty is initially hesitant, and then he goes up and finds the keys, and he's like, "Oh, it's one of these," and the bench keeps hitting the wall, and then whenever he's able to unlock the door, it just stops, and I really like shit like that. I love ominous shit like that. It makes me get up, makes me feel all spooky kooky. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So then he goes in, and it's a lot of fog. Justin noted the deer that's gonna become more of a character in Evil Dead 2, and then I immediately started doing the laugh. Because, I don't know, I love that deer. I love that deer in Evil Dead 2. That whole sequence, actually, is one of my favorites in that movie. But, he's checking it out, and meanwhile, everybody's unpacking, having a grand old time. And then, then we get, like, just, I think the scene with Cheryl drawing the Book of the Dead happens before the dinner they have, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the first, first time they're affected by it, I think.
Yeah, because like you keep seeing you keep getting the POV shots of the evil or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
But like nothing really affects it until that when she's drawing the Book of the Dead, and like it's like her hand gets like a little possessed.
Yeah, you see like the veins.
You
and
see
shit.
the makeup on that, and she's
It's not a bad drawing either.
It's not for having to act that out. It's really good, but like in the extra footage when she rips the page. You can hear her go, I broke the lead. and then Sam Raimi just starts laughing. But yeah, she did that. And then, because you get those close-ups of like the clock and then her eyes. And then, she gets possessed or whatever.
Sam really likes his eye close-ups.
Yeah, he likes his, I was thinking, because I rewatched Eraserhead. And I was thinking about how much David Lynch likes his close-ups, his extreme close-ups. And then I was watching this, and I was like, man, Sam Raimi likes his close-ups too. Goddamn. Like, I guess a lot of these directors really like to make you unsettled by this. I know M. Night Shyamalan does that shit too, but, like, then it's, like, this weird, like, lens he has on it that makes it look even weirder. I don't know. Creeps me out. I don't like that stuff.
Yeah, like, they're trying to have that romantic scene later where, like, Ash is pretending to sleep and, like, Linda's trying to get the necklace.
It was irritating the fuck out of Justin.
And, like, even then, like, it's still, like, intense and, like, unsettling.
Yeah, because Justin was like, you just gonna fucking grab it, huh? You gonna grab it? Like, he was getting real mad. It was pretty funny. But after Cheryl's little encounter, they go eat dinner, and Justin immediately asked, what'd you ask me, Justin?
How'd they warm the food up?
Like, because you don't see that the cabin has any, like, obviously they don't have any warmth in real life.
Yeah.
But, like, the movie does nothing to establish whether or not this is a good cabin or not. And I think that's funny, because it got me thinking, yeah, I guess not, Justin. I guess, how did they do that? So...
I mean, do we ever even see, like, a kitchen?
No.
Like, we see the main room, and then we see, like, some bedrooms.
Yeah, and the
bathroom.
The fucking cabin didn't even have a latrine. And they didn't have an outhouse either. Like Bruce Campbell was talking about, I was like, all right, just go pick your part of the woods, and do your thing. Juice. Oh my God, the O.J. Simpson trial has done irreparable damage to my brain. But Bruce, Bruce said that that was part of what attributed to the latex point, because you have to shit in the woods, and that can't be great. But yeah, they're having dinner. And while they're having dinner, Bruce says a bunch of nonsense about, like, he said, making, like, some stupid-ass speech. I don't know, but he says a bunch of nonsense, basically. And then they're all like, yeah, hoo-hoo, yeah. And then, the little cellar door opens up. And Justin, you want to tell me how you felt about that? Specifically with Teresa Tilly's reaction to it? You remember what you said?
Oh, yeah. The way she turns around, it's like she remembered, oh, I have to turn around at this part.
Oh, shit, yeah, that's my cue.
Just her face.
Because she's, like, drinking something when it happens. She's like,
And then
fuck,
she
that's right.
suddenly stops.
And I know that's happened to me because I've done stage plays before, and that's definitely happened before where I'm doing something that I don't normally do during a cue, and then I'm like in the midst of doing that, and then I'm like, oh fuck, that's right. Oh, ha, ha, hey, it's me saying my line now. So I get it. That's an actor's plight, man. That happens to everybody. Happens to the best of us. But cellar door opens. They go investigate. Scotty's an asshole to Cheryl for no reason. I don't remember what he says to her, but Cheryl like asks a question and Scotty's just like super dismissive.
He's like, or no, she's like, oh, maybe it's an animal. He's like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Honestly, it reminds me of me and Justin a little bit, where I'll say something, he'll be like, that's fucking stupid. It's just, I remember when we used to work together, I'd always joke about how I would say something and he'd just go stupid. Like that was like his one word response, and that's what that kind of reminded me of. But he's just an asshole to Cheryl for no reason. Why are you being mean to the best girl, man? Come on, she's my favorite. Don't be mean to my favorite, man. But. So then you have like this shot from the seller's POV where everybody asks what it is, and I think he tells Shelly to go down and check it out or something, and she's like, I'm not going down there, and then why don't you go down there? And Scotty's like, all right, and then Scotty goes down, doesn't say anything. Uncomfortable amount of time has passed, so then Ash is like, all right, well I'm gonna
go check it out.
I'm gonna go check it out, and then he's going through the cellar and looking around. He's got a little lantern that Justin noted did not give any light. And
The whole thing was just dirty.
And then you get another one of my favorite shots where he had that 360 shot of like a panoramic of the room
when he first goes down.
And I like that shot a lot too. Is it this Evil Dead that has Freddy Krueger's knife glove, or is that two?
No, this one. This is what started that, because this has the Hills Have Eyes poster.
It has the Hills Have Eyes, yeah.
And then Nightmare on Elm Street had them watching Evil Dead.
Yes,
and then
right.
Evil Dead 2 had the glove hanging over the door when he's sawing Linda's head in half.
Yeah. That's a banger. That's a good scene. But anyway, so then I think Ash hears a noise because he's looking at something. He hears a noise, and then he goes to the door, and like he opens it, and it's a real tense way of filming it. He opens it. And then, like, Scotty scares him. And then Justin was like, was he waiting there that whole time?
Yeah, just in total silence.
Just to fucking scare him. And then, we get to that Hills Have Eyes poster. And Scotty's like, look at this shit, man. Look at this fucking dagger and this fucking weird-ass book. It looks like it was made out of candle wax. And then he's like, and look at this real, actual shotgun, by the way, that he points at Bruce. And they make sure to show you that it's not loaded first. But that is a real shotgun.
I mean, either way, you're getting a fist in the balls if you point a real gun in my face. You don't do that.
Yeah, that's not something you do to play around. That feels like something Josh would do. Usually Justin starts the Josh shit talking, but that feels like something Josh would do.
To be fair, when he first got his gun, he was messing with it too much.
But did he point it at you jokingly?
He didn't point it at us, but he was just lifting it up in the house, and it made our mom very uncomfortable. And he was like, "There's no bullets in it."
There's no bullets.
Watch. He puts it in his mouth.
Like the singer for Chicago, R.I.P.
Terry Kath.
R.I.P. to a real one.
Well, I was gonna say that also happened. I didn't know this person, but I knew people who knew him.
I was gonna say this happened in real life.
Yeah.
What?
He was drunk and he thought there were no bullets in her, so just being stupid, he put it in his mouth and pulled the trigger.
That's exactly what happened to Terry Kath.
I was gonna say that's exactly what happened to Terry Kath. Yeah, because I remember there was an interview. To get onto that for a little bit, there was an interview I think with Mark Maron. I don't remember who he was interviewing, but he was asking him like, "Do you think like Terry Kath was suicidal?" He's like, "Nah, man." He's like, "Terry loved life, dude." He's like, "I think he was just fucking around, and he just didn't check the chamber."
And he knew guns too. That's the fucked up part.
Yeah, I guess he just
drunk and irresponsible.
Thought he checked it first. Yeah. And so R.I.P. to Terry Kath and whoever that mystery person is. R.I.P. to them as well. But that seems like something Josh would do. Was that a dog outside?
I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the Evil Dead.
Yeah, we got. Well, something did happen while we were watching it. We're gonna get into that. But yeah. So you know,
So yeah, they find all the shit.
they
and
find all the stuff.
They take it back up, and yeah, they find the tape player down there too, right?
Yeah, they find the tape player, and that's when Bruce brings it up and starts playing it.
Yeah.
Like a fucking idiot.
Let's
And
listen to this as a family.
and he's playing this thing where this dude's just like recanting this Kandarian like
Professor Nobi.
I guess like fucking incantation, right? I guess is the word for it.
Yeah, and I didn't know before that it's not called the Necronomicon in this. It's called the Naturam Demonto.
That's
Like-
what he calls it in the tape recorder, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like they never call it Necronomicon in this one.
Yeah, that's not until Evil Dead 2 in the beginning, I think. Yeah.
Called the Necro Goblicon. No.
Well, you know what? We're gonna get sued now, Justin. Good job.
I just mentioned the band name.
We're gonna get sued.
We say band names all the time.
Do it? Yeah, we do.
Corn.
Slipknot. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so, but yeah, so then they bring the book up. Ash starts listening to it, and Cheryl has like a visceral reaction to it. Who can blame her? She's smart. She's the best girl.
Yeah.
So then she screams like, "Turn it off!" Like freaking the fuck out.
Yeah.
Which is something she has fans do whenever she meets them.
Like George C. Scott.
Yeah, like George C. Scott. But she has fans do whenever she meets them. She has them do that. Just like Linda's actress has them do the little laugh if they can do it. And then they like have a little laugh off. There was a video of that in the DVD when they were doing their cons, and I was like, that's cute.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So they weren't completely fucked up by this movie.
No. But you got to learn to laugh at it, I guess, for something this fucking.
Yeah.
How else are you gonna cope?
Yeah, how else you gonna cope with
I mean, I think that just kind of shows
the
like
worst nights of your life?
that just kind of shows Sam as a director, because there are plenty of directors who treated their cast like shit and they just completely separated themselves from it, but like this cast like kept coming back.
Yeah.
Like they still like the movie. So I think Sam likes to act like an asshole, but I think he makes peace with people after treating them like shit.
Yeah, there was a video of him popping in after a screening of Multiverse of Madness, and he walks out and he's like, fuck y'all, like I don't care, and then he's like, thank you, he was just being Sam. That's how he is. I love him. But yeah, so then Bruce shuts it off, but like the incantation's already been spoken at this point, so the evil's like, ooh, fuck, it's time to get spooking. And then is it this point where we get the weird scene with the prolonged scene of Ash and
Yeah.
Linda
Yeah.
because the Scott and Shelley go to their room
Fuck.
probably, and then Ash and Linda are just in the room, and then Linda's like, I'm gonna go check on Cheryl, and then she goes check on Cheryl, and then when she comes back, he's asleep with the fucking box in his lap
the
or whatever.
little magnifying
And
glass
then,
necklace or whatever.
like Cale mentioned earlier, it's this really oddly edited, tense moment where she's like, "Oh, is she gonna take it? Is she not gonna take?" Like that kind of shit. And and eventually, I think she grabs it. You got all the extreme close-ups you could ask for,
Or
I
you're gonna
guess.
steal from the blind.
Yeah, he says something like that. I think that is exactly what he says. And then she's like, "Ashley, it's so nice." And then like they kiss or whatever. I don't know.
Meanwhile, poor Cheryl's just in her room by herself.
Yeah, poor God. I love Cheryl. But yeah, so then she's in her room, and the demon starts being a peeping Tom, and he peeps in on Shelley and Scotty just taking their clothes off, as you do. And then Cheryl's just like drawing in her room, all sad and shit, and miserable because of what's about to happen to her.
She's drawing her Sonic OC, trying to make herself feel better.
And then she looks at her Sonic OC, which looks oddly like the Necronomicon, and then
Not again.
she senses the evil outside. And I love you, Cheryl. Why the fuck did you step outside?
I was
All right?
I was thinking the same shit, but I assume it's something to do with like she caught on faster than anyone to like what was going on. So I think maybe she had like some kind of like subconscious force like driving her to like see what the hell this thing was.
Yeah, she was chosen first.
Cause like she's out there like I know you're in the cellar, so I think she knows that there's some weird shit going on.
Yeah, that's right. And then she goes outside and she
fucked around and found out.
Yeah, she boy did she. So then she's walking around, and then that's when the trees start binding her, and then they do their thing. I don't really want to get into it.
Those trees from Lord of the Rings are a menace.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because first they were in a boring movie, and now there's. Come on. Hey, no, I don't want to fucking hear it. I don't like Lord of the Rings. Fuck you. Anyway, so.
You gotta watch the extended version.
Oh yeah. Let me just find 9 hours of my life that I never want back.
You don't like it? Watch more of it.
Yeah, that's the solution. Oh, you don't like Star Wars, bro? You're just watching the wrong ones, man. You got to watch the original cuts. Maybe in that case, though. That's a bad example.
Yeah.
But that's like telling somebody.
That's what you should do.
That's like telling somebody, oh, you don't like the original trilogy? Watch the prequels, bro. You'll love them. Like, that's the equivalent. Or, like, people that don't like the sequel trilogy being like, the prequels are better. Were they, dude? I think you're just mad. I really think that's all.
Okay, let's not go down this path. We'll waste an entire podcast on that.
Yeah, we've mentioned it before anyway. Thank you, Cale. But yeah, so then she gets treed, if you will, and then she starts running when she breaks out of the binds, and she's able to, and then she gets to the door, and the evil's like following her, and it's really just Sam Raimi with a camera, the greatest terror of all.
Yeah, I was
and
gonna
then,
say the true evil following her.
And then she starts banging on the door, and another tense scene of her reaching for the keys and trying to open the lock, and it was actually getting to me because I was kind of like, come on, just open the fucking lock, come on, god damn it. Like, I've seen this movie I don't know how many times, and it still gets to me.
I wonder why there are multiple keys on that thing.
Yeah, right?
Like, there's only one cabin.
I mean, in that final shot, you see multiple buildings, so maybe...
I guess, maybe like the shed in the back.
Yeah, maybe I guess.
If there's an outhouse, I don't know.
Yeah. So then, you know, Ash opens the door in the nick of time. She gets in, and she's like, I want to leave. She's like, fuck this place. You know, she's being sensible. Like, everybody can see that she's visibly upset and wounded, and they're all just like, fucking, we're not leaving. Fuck you.
I got tree sap in my cooch. I want to go.
Yeah, honestly. And so then Ash is like, fine, I'll take you. So then they get in the car, and the car won't start at first. And she's like, she doesn't want us to leave. It knows. And she's like losing her fucking mind. And then eventually the car starts. They take off. And everybody just goes back to doing whatever the fuck they were doing in the cabin. And then they get to the bridge, and it's taken out.
Destroyed.
It's like curled up or whatever. And then Cheryl can't find Ash. And she's like, Ashley, where are you? Which, side note real quick, Ash is Ashley. And there was Bruce Campbell, I think in If Chins Could Kill, his first memoir, great title, by the way, If Chins Could Kill, talked about how at one of the conventions he was at, there was a kid that came up to him, like, in Evil Dead garb to sign, like, a DVD of it. And he was like, who do I make it out to? And he's like, Ash. And then he's like, no, what's your real name? He's like, Ash. He's like, I have your stupid name because of my parents. And I was just thinking to myself, like, why are you going to be a dick to Bruce Campbell? It's not his fucking fault. Like, come on. Bruce Campbell, one of the nicest guys ever. Come on, dude. I'm still bummed because Bruce Campbell was going to be at a convention in 2017. And I had bought his most recent memoir because I was going to have him sign it. And I hadn't bought tickets to the event yet. You know why? Because Hurricane Harvey hit. And that ruined everything.
Good old Harv.
Good old Harvey fucking ruined my chance of meeting Bruce Campbell. And I haven't really been to a convention since. But
Truly the worst consequence of that hurricane.
absolutely.
Yeah.
All that flooding, no, I didn't get to meet Bruce Campbell. That's the worst part. But yeah, so you know, she's looking for Ash. And then Ash pops up out of nowhere. And they're like, I'm telling you, it won't let us leave. It won't let us leave. So they go back to the cabin, and then we get this nice scene, one of the funnier moments where Shelly,
it's just fucking with Linda.
where Linda's like trying to guess which card Shelly's holding, and whatever Linda says, Shelly's like, that's it, unbelievable, like, oh my god. But then you know, eventually she's like, I think it's just some like extra sense or something, like just being real goofy. And then Cheryl starts saying what the cards are, and her voice gets more and more demonic. And then, you know, she turns around and she's got the white eyes, and I'm just like, oh baby, here we go, the first deadite of the night.
Yeah.
And then she rises up, spins around a little bit, or I don't think she spins around completely, but she like kind of tilts.
Yeah.
And shit. And I don't know how they rigged that, but she really was elevated. I'm not
Yes.
sure how they did it. I know it was uncomfortable though, because in the
Probably.
behind the scenes, Ellen was just like, Sam, I can't do this forever. Like, because Sam wanted her to, like, say, like, join us, or whatever. And then, you know, she was like, Sam, I can't say that forever. And you know, keep in mind, too, they're completely blind with those things on. That's the other thing. Every scene of them, they were completely blind, so they would have to blindfold them so they could block out the scene and get the feel for it. And then they'd put the eyes in and film it. Also, to go back to Multiverse of Madness for a bit, I do appreciate that that part where Doctor Strange... Spoilers for Multiverse of Madness. I could give a shit though. To that point where Doctor Strange is at the he's in the zombie form, and he's about to go fight Scarlet Witch. Those demons that form his cape. When they start talking, I instantly thought of the fucking Deadites because they have the voices doubled. And I think I don't remember if it was Scott Spiegel or Sam Raimi that actually did the voices for that, because I know Sam Raimi did one of the double voices in this. But I feel like Scott Spiegel had like a little voice cameo in Multiverse of Madness as the voice.
Probably.
Pretty sure.
That sounds familiar.
And I dug that. Oh, that was like, I was smiling so hard in the theater when that shit happened.
The whole scene is just great.
I love that. I love that scene so much. And then the fucking zombie Strange was practical. I loved that. But yeah, because I love practical effects. You know me. But so you know, Cheryl's a Deadite now. And she's like, one by one, we will take you, and all this cool shit.
And like the way they float, like that's kind of a Sam Raimi staple, like across like the whole series, and even in like a little bit in Drag Me to Hell, like people float like they're marionettes.
Yeah.
Like their arms and legs just kind of move like they're being lifted, which works.
Yeah, I think that's in Ash vs. Evil Dead 2, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I can't remember any specifics, but I'm pretty sure. But yeah, that is a cool... I do like that effect for sure. And again, you know, practical. Love that. But yeah, so then, you know, she starts... does she collapse or does... No, Scotty hits her, right? With something?
No, she says her thing, like, kind of spins her head around a couple times, then collapses.
Oh, she just collapses.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then grabs the pencil.
And then she grabs the pencil, and Justin was immediately like, oh, no.
Here it comes. Because I knew it was coming.
And then I made fun of Justin, and then he was like, okay, mister, I get scared at anything that happens to fingernails. And I'm like, yeah, because that hurts.
So does a pencil in the ankle.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, I'm sure it does. And then it's a dull pencil, too. That's what makes it even worse. There's no lead in it. Like, you can tell it's already broken. That's awful. But, yeah, so then Linda or Ash goes to, like, try to touch her face, and Linda's walking around, and she, like, bats Ash away, and then just takes a big old swing and just digs that shit into her ankle. And a lot of people they interviewed in the DVD were talking about how gnarly that scene is to this day, where you can just feel it because, like, she fucking, like, twists it and shit. And then blood's, like, all that fucking blood's just coming out.
I don't remember where I heard this, but I feel like they said they got the sound effect, but it's like stabbing a pencil into an apple and just, like, moving it around.
I read that to get some of the stabbing effects, they stab dead chickens.
Yeah, sounds about
Or Sam Raimi stabbed dead chickens specifically.
Sounds about right.
Which isn't the most upsetting thing I've heard. David Lynch... used a recently deceased cat in Eraserhead in some way. I think to get like textures or something. I don't remember. Probably something for the baby, which you'll see what that is when we get to it. But
the biggest rip to an animal in a movie is Cannibal Holocaust.
Obviously, I don't want to remember that right now. But
I mean, and Apocalypse Now.
Oh God, you're right.
Like it looks fake, but now they decapitate that motherfucker.
Moment of silence.
For that water buffalo.
Yeah, moment of silence. That was, oh my God. Moment of silence. Just you saying it again. Moment of silence to that water buffalo. But anyway, yeah, so she stabs her in the ankle. Linda goes down for the count. And then, I think she gets up. She throws Ash, throws Scotty. And then I'm pretty sure Scotty is the one that knocks her out, right? Like he hits her with the thing, like a shovel or some shit.
Yeah, he doesn't waste any time.
Yeah, he's not fucking around, and he knocks her out, and he knocks her down because then she falls into the cellar.
Kicks her into the
which Ellen Sandweiss did that scene a lot because she kept hitting her head on the fucking cellar door, and she said that like there were like 4 of them with like a sheeted blanket to like catch her whenever she fell through, but she kept missing and hitting her head. And she said that was pretty rough, but eventually they got it right. And then she's in the cellar, just vibing for a while. And Ash takes Linda to the bedroom.
Yeah, at that point, he just puts her in bed. She's comatose
Yeah.
for pretty much the next little bit.
For the next little bit, and then we get that cool shot of Cheryl's POV, and the I think this is where we get it.
Yeah, now she's just in there playing Statler and Waldorf,
Yeah,
just talking shit.
and then there's yeah, Shelley's like, what's wrong with her eyes? Those eyes, like really hamming it up. I love it. And then Justin, the eyes are what you're worried about. Oh, there's also that part where Scotty's hitting her with the butt of the axe.
Oh, it's just
and it's just a
fake
very
head.
fake-looking dummy head. I love that so much. There's bah, bah. And then he crushes her fingers and hits the little rubber hand. Love that too. That's a great shot. But yeah, so she's just talking shit, having a grand old time down there, and then. What happens after that, Cale? I don't remember. I'm having trouble remembering.
I think
exactly
at that
how
point
it
they
flows.
just kind of tread water until Linda, like Ash goes to check on Linda, is like she's still asleep.
Yeah.
He lifts up the blanket and then sees the wound is just like rapidly, like turning into like weird veins and shit.
And you get that hard cut of her opening her
Yeah.
eyes. Yeah, that's a good one. And like it's not like an organic opening either. It like cuts to her eyes.
Yeah,
open.
it just cuts to her eyes open and she just turns into a baby firefly. Just
Yeah.
laughing at everything.
Yeah, she does, doesn't she? Oh my god, you're right. I also forgot to mention that Ash is listening to the tape before Cheryl has her little. He's listening to it with a headphone in before Cheryl, has her little moment.
Yeah, getting more lore.
To get more lore about like, because the guy's like, oh, you have to dismember them completely. I'm Amadeus Arkham. Like that kind of shit. Gotta love it. And so Ash gets that for later. That's a surprise tool we'll use later. And so, Linda is, like Cale said, baby Firefly. And she's got the white eyes and she starts fucking with Ash. And there's a moment where I feel like Ash leaves the cabin for a second, and then when he comes back, or like he goes to do something, but then when he comes back, there's that tracking shot where you see Linda sitting on the floor just smiling with her eyes white, and that's always been one of the creepier shots in the film for me.
He goes to get the gun.
That's what it was. Okay, I couldn't remember exactly what he was doing, but I remember the shot because it's one of those shots that stuck with me.
Don't they kill Shelley before all this?
No. Maybe.
No, yeah. Well, I think at some point, yeah, Ash and Scotty are talking. Shelley's in her room by herself, and then Evil gets her.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, this is what happened. So yeah, Scotty walks into the room to look for her, and when he opens the door, and we get that fake out jump scare where there's nothing there, something hit the wall in the side of my room, and I thought it was just a surround effect because George heard it and he was like, "What the fuck?" And I thought it was just a surround effect. And I rewound it, and no, something hit the wall. I don't know what the fuck did, but something hit the wall right at that moment. It was eerie. But yeah, so then Shelley starts vaping out. You know how it is. And
Yeah, and Cheryl's in the basement just playing hype man.
yeah, like just fucking losing her mind. I love that. I love it. And then she gets. I think Scotty, she gets like put in the fireplace.
Yeah, he throws her in the fire, pulls her out.
She's like, "Thank you. I don't know what I would have done." Like
You didn't take me away from those hot coals.
the Deadites' sense of humor is already here. This black humor that they have. One of my favorite elements of the franchise, if I'm being honest, is how shitty the fucking Deadites are. And yeah, so then Shelley turns the tables and tries to burn Scotty's head. And then I think Ash comes in with the Kandarian dagger. No. She picks up the dagger and tries to get Scotty. And then I forgot what happened, but then she gnaws her hand off.
No, Scotty has his own knife.
Yeah,
that
like
he's
slices
had on
her
his
hand
belt
like halfway
and he-
off.
Yeah, he cuts
Oh
it
yeah, and
halfway
then
off.
she just starts like munching on it. Gross ass sound effects.
That's a holdover from Within the Woods.
Yeah, I remember reading about that because I haven't
Yeah.
seen Within the Woods.
I watched it earlier today
Oh yeah.
when I was supposed to be working.
Oh hey, that's
But,
fair. It's only like 30 minutes.
Yeah, but yeah, I forgot her fucking name. Ellen, like cuts Bruce's hand like halfway off, and then he has a moment where like he's kind of holding it up, like showing off the effect, and then he just like grabs it, starts like twisting it, and just like rips it the
Whoa.
rest of the way off.
That's awesome. Oh, that's cool. But yeah, so then she bites her own hand off, and then that's when Bruce picks up her hand with the dagger.
I think Scotty does. Bruce is just like
Scotty
standing
does.
back the whole time, like
I
traumatized.
thought Bruce came back and stabbed her. I was on my
And
and
phone.
then
I'm
Scotty
sorry.
stabs her. She screams for like 30 seconds
Yeah,
straight.
she screams for a while. She does that Maynard scream from The Grudge, just oh, like it's and like it's just on her face, just her fucking face, just screaming, and then I think she falls back onto it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
And
we
then
get all the milk coming
Spitting up milk.
Oh yeah, because the milk shoots out of her hand and her
mouth.
stump.
And then she plays dead for a little bit, comes back, and then Scotty's just like, all right, fuck this shit, grabs the axe.
Yeah, because Bruce tells him like you gotta dismember her, total dismemberment.
Yeah.
And then he does that, and Teresa Tilly was talking about how she was like literally stuck under the floorboards with Sam and Bruce and them because they all had to be different body parts. And I'm like, oh my god, that sounds so fucking bad, man. Oh, hate it. But yeah, so then
And then just go bury her. 'cause
yeah, they go bury her.
Might as well cover it up, fuck it.
Yeah, and and then yeah, that's when he goes to check on Linda, and then that all happens, and something happens with Linda, where yeah, Ash goes to get the gun because Scotty just tries to leave, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's when he just says, fuck this shit, I'm out.
And then he
Yeah.
comes back, and you know what happened to him.
Yeah.
And
I think, yeah, when he comes back, Cheryl's still in the cellar.
oh
and
yeah, and Linda's sitting. That's what
sitting
she's
there.
sitting because he's carrying him, and then
she does her little "We're gonna get you" song.
and then he starts like having his face compressed by an unseen force because the blood starts coming out of his mouth and shit. It reminds me of an effect of somebody's face getting squished. I don't know why. And then Ash he keeps telling Linda and Cheryl to shut up, and then he bitch slaps Linda.
A couple times.
And Joe Bob Briggs was being interviewed, and he was like, you know, you could do anything to a woman in the 80s. He's like, that was before you had to worry about political correctness. And I was telling Justin, like, I don't know, man. I think if the bitch is possessed, I think you can get away with it. I don't think anybody's going to get mad at you for punching a possessed woman. I'm pretty sure. But then, you know, Ash gets the gun and points it at her, and then she plays dumb. Or not dumb. She plays...
She fakes out, goes back for a second.
Ash,
Don't let them take me
I'm
again.
good. Don't take me. Yeah, and then Cheryl's like, Ash, I'm all better now.
Me too.
I'm all better now, Ash. Please.
Let me out.
And then she fucking like busts her hands through the floorboards. And then
Ash deals with Linda by just dragging her outside
yeah,
and going back in.
Fuck out.
yeah, that's right. He just drags her out, then goes back inside. And then he checks on Scotty, tries to give him water, and Scotty's not drinking because you know he's dying.
You can take a Scott to water, but you can't make him
Well,
drink.
first is when Scott initially comes back and he's telling him that she was right. It won't let us leave. It's like it knows.
Yeah.
He's like, is there another way out? Yeah, there's the trail.
Yeah.
It'll get us to the other
But the
side.
woods.
The woods.
Woods won't let you.
They'll rape you.
Yeah, basically.
My ass hurts.
Ugh.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's a fear of mine. I'm gonna be honest. But what happens when he's trying to get Scotty something? Like he sees the necklace or something, right?
I think so. I'm trying to remember. I can't bridge the gap between what happens next and how Linda goes unconscious again when he takes her into the shed.
Yeah.
But-
Because that's when he sees the thing because she's wearing it. But I don't remember. Yeah, I can't bridge the gap either.
And the shed is when he sees it because that's when he gets the chainsaw and is about
Yeah.
to cut her up. But he's like, no, I can't.
And-
do
A
it."
real chainsaw, by the way.
Yeah, holding a live chainsaw like 6 inches from her neck,
Yeah,
and she just had to play it cool.
that's insane. But yeah, we'll remember it later. But there's that part, and then
And I guess he decides it'd be better just to bury her.
yeah,
Alive?
and then she when does she spit out the milk?
He buries her. She comes back up, starts clawing at his leg. Bruce takes the appliance off and has a black hole in his leg for the next few months.
Yes.
And then he grabs like a railroad tie or something, like one of those square logs, smacks her around with that. I think it's when he like hits her in the face and she falls over.
Yeah.
And hits her a few times is when she starts spitting up.
I like how when that scene's cutting in and out of him hitting her, the prop breaks.
Yeah, he's like
Yeah.
having to like hold it together.
Yeah, that's good. And then he like decapitates her, right?
Yeah.
She takes a flying leap. He grabs shovel and hacks.
And is it an Evil Dead 1 or 2 where like she's like her head's like moaning in the leaves?
That was this one.
That was this one? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I like that too. I think that's just depraved enough for my tastes. Where she's like, and then her headless body's just
Like,
spitting up
yes.
black shit on Ash, and then
He just leaves.
He goes back to the cabin perfectly clean.
yeah,
Yes.
Nothing on his face.
yep, yeah, that's the way it goes, man. And that's the thing that Sam Raimi was talking about, how they shot it with like no sense of continuity whatsoever, like at all. Which, I mean, can you blame them?
I mean, I didn't notice.
Yeah, I didn't either. But I mean, yeah, it happens. But then I think it's at that point he starts, because like he notices that the cellar door is open, right? And that's when he goes down and looking for Cheryl or whatever. And that's when he sees that pipe that's leaking the blood, and then he gets the fucking 50 gallons of it dumped on him. And then the Victrola starts playing that little, and then
Yeah, this is when like the real like psychological horror starts, because now the house is just fucking with Ash.
the cabin's just fucking with him. Yep. And we get the projector, and then the blood dripping on the
filling
projector.
up everything like Hellraiser.
Yeah, it's very good, very good. And then Ash is able to make his way back up because everything just kind of stops. And then I think he starts fortifying the house because he sees Cheryl outside, and he blows like half of her away.
Yeah.
And then like she stands back up, but she's fine, which I think is cool because that was a real shotgun.
Well, he
that
shoots
was-
through the door and it hits her face.
That's later on.
Yeah, that's when she reaches, like breaks through, like grabs him.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a cool practical effect too. I like that one a lot. But yeah, he blows half of her away, and then he starts fortifying the house, and that's when Scotty wakes up,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh, I'm too hotty," and then he starts attacking Bruce, and they have their little scuffle, and then
Bruce is like, "You can't see me," and then
yeah,
gouges his eyes out.
yeah, because Cheryl tries to, because he fortifies the door with that like dresser or whatever after Cheryl reaches through,
And Scotty just
and then Scotty's like, he Michael Myers his way out, and they have their kerfluffle scuffle. Cheryl eventually breaks in, and Scotty's like trying to get at Bruce, and at some point the book gets moved close to the fireplace.
Yeah, like I think when Ash gets knocked over, he knocks over a table that was holding the book. Like he sees it burning a little bit, and I guess he just like realizes, okay, this all started with that shit, so I'm gonna burn that little bastard.
Well, the Deadites start smoking too, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then he gets the little necklace, which is in the shape of a skull.
Oh yeah.
And he grabs it and he starts trying to get the book, and eventually he's able to get a hold of it with Cheryl hitting him with a fire poker, and then Scotty like gnawing on his fucking calf, and he throws the book into the fire, and then you get a practical effects extravaganza
Yeah.
where you get, not only do you get the stop motion shit, you get Season of the Witch shit with bugs and stuff after these hands of Satan like burst through the corpses and fucking eviscerate them basically.
Yeah, the meltdown, I think they called that sequence.
And the way they did that shit was cool because like they had composite shots of stop motion, and they would like mat it off to where they would then have like running liquid in the same shot.
Yeah, because I noticed that in like I think when Scotty's disintegrating, like his skull's like bubbling, and then like has like shit like running out of his face.
Yeah, it's really cool. And
I think they mentioned in the commentary that took like 3 months,
yeah,
and they just did it in like
I think Raimi's basement, I think.
I think it was Raimi. I think it was Bart Pierce
Oh, okay.
or something like that. Like I think he's credited as photography, special effects, or something like that. And they just did everything in his basement. And he said like that poor dude's wife just had to watch him bring all this like like bugs and shit, like Madagascar roaches into their basement.
Garden snakes and shit, yeah. Ugh.
Creamed corn.
Oh my god. Yeah, that gross ass like fucking, it looked like grits
Yeah, coming out of his sleeve.
coming out of his sleeve, yeah. And then oh sorry George. And then yeah, so then everything seems to be fine. The sun comes up. Ash is like, and he starts to leave the cabin.
And then the Deadites just staring at a leaf,
Yeah, he's just like, oh man, that's a nice leaf.
as they like to do in their spare time.
This is a good leaf, man. Let me tell you what, I like this one. And then it starts coming after Ash. And the film ends with it running into him and him screaming. And then...
Like the ending to Jeepers Creepers.
A little bit. Isn't that... Is that...
It's not the same song, but it's like a similar, like,
It's
Oh,
similar
that's
kind
what
of
you mean.
jazzy, old school.
I thought she meant in the sense of how it have the last shot.
No,
No.
Okay, well...
that's Justin Long, Sans eyes.
Yeah, well, Sans, like, half of his fucking face.
Yeah.
The whole back of his head.
The whole
is
back of
ripped
his
off.
head, yeah. R.I.P. to a real one, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the Evil Dead.
Yay.
The Evil Dead.
The
Don't
Evil
call
Dead.
Not-
it Evil Dead or John will kill you.
Yeah, I will. Because that's the remake, kind of. Because it's not really a remake. It's more of a reboot.
Sort of. It keeps enough intact
Yeah.
that it's recognizable.
Yeah. And now it's part of the Evil Dead game.
Yeah.
Mia's in it, and so is her brother, I think.
But not Jane Levy.
Oh, it's not?
No.
Nah, I
Which
didn't
is a
think so.
bummer.
Yeah, rip. I guess they couldn't get her likeness or whatever.
That, I think it was like scheduling or some shit.
But yeah, the Evil Dead spawned a franchise that is continuing next year with Evil Dead Rise. Can't wait for that. I wanted to do a certified sidetrack segment on the new Hellraiser, but Justin hasn't watched it yet.
I mean, also, you
You
guys,
can talk about it. It's not
We're not
going
going
to
to spoil it. Yeah.
I mean, you guys are just going to cover that when you do Hellraiser, right?
Yeah, but I like doing little reviews. Just like we're going to do, because I don't know when we're doing Hellraiser. That's 11 movies, man.
Oh, fucking shit.
That's 11 movies.
Ugh.
And then we're going to do Halloween Ends once the Blu-ray comes out, but I still want to cover that after this week. Because we're going to go, Cale and I are going to go see that shit. Justin's probably going to watch it on Peacock. Because he hates himself. And also because of his work schedule, probably.
Yep.
So, but yeah, the new Hellraiser certified sidetrack segment. Let's give a quick little,
Part 2.
quick little our thoughts on that. I enjoyed it a lot. It's the first Hellraiser movie I've ever seen in its
What?
entirety.
What?
Yeah. Look at me with disappointment. I don't give a shit. It's the
You
first.
can't be serious.
I'm serious. I haven't seen any of them in its entirety. I've only seen clips. The one I've seen the most of, ironically, is Hellworld.
Oh my god.
Wow.
So
I hate you now.
that's all right. But that's the first one I've seen all the way through. I've seen clips. I know about old CD Boy from, what is it, 3?
The best character.
Hellbound. I know about Chatterbox, obviously. But yeah, this is the first one I've seen all the way through. I hate to admit it. But I'm glad because I had nothing to compare it to, so I could just go in and enjoy it. Similar to what happened with Us and Get Out, where I enjoyed Us more, but then I watched Get Out, and then when I rewatched Us, I was like, it's, well, not as good as I remember. But the same thing is probably going to happen with this. But I enjoyed it. It had a woman that could kill me. You know,
Yeah.
I love that.
Your favorite.
And my favorite, absolutely. I liked the Hell Priest in this one a lot because I've seen clips of Doug Bradley, obviously. But I think, I like the designs and all that fun stuff.
Oh god.
It didn't feel too long. Some people complained about the length, but I thought it was fine.
Yeah, felt fine to me.
And the pacing, I think, helped with that. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun, which is all a horror movie needs to be for me at this point in my life, if I'm being completely honest. I love me some, don't get me wrong, I love me some slow burn, elevated horror shit, but sometimes I just love a good little fucking gory, fun movie. And I think I got that with the new Hellraiser. And eventually I'll watch the others. At least the first two.
Yeah, at least the first two. Those are good.
I
I can't attest to the rest of them.
Because I know, Justin, you like what, up to Inferno? Isn't that the 7th one?
Inferno's 5.
Yeah, the Scott Derrickson one.
After that, they kind of drop off.
Oh, kinda?
Well, in my opinion, really badly. It's like Deader is just really fucking boring.
Deader. I forgot about that.
I forgot which one brings.
Sounds like a Judge Dredd story.
I forgot which one brings Kirsty back into the story, but that one was all right.
And then there's Hellworld, the best one.
And the worst one
Well, then there's the newer ones that just
are
Don't have Doug Bradley.
garbage.
like I swear like they made those just to like keep the rights or something
They
like
did.
that. I don't
That's
know.
exactly why the Weinsteins made those.
They got Fantastic Ford.
So I, because Arrow had the Crimson Box, which was the first 3 movies, which my cousin Adam told me is all I had to worry about. And that's out of print now and like $300.
Oof.
But there's a UK version Luckily, I have a Blu-ray player that can play Region B discs that I'm probably going to grab whenever we decide to do those. Maybe before if it's on sale, and then I'll finally watch them and be vindicated by Cale and Justin.
For at least 2 movies.
But what did you think of Hellraiser, Justin? Or Cale, I'm sorry.
Justin, what'd you think of it?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't watch it yet.
Shit. I liked it. Yeah, Jamie Clayton had a good presence as the new priestess.
Yes.
And I like the new aesthetic, but I think I'm still kind of nostalgic for just like how grimy and just like gross and uncomfortable it is in the originals.
The leather daddy look.
Like as opposed to just how like elegant and like sleek everything looks now. But I mean that's just more of an aesthetic change rather than like an actual flaw with the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the new configuration and like all its different forms and how they each like represent something else.
Yeah, that was really cool.
I'm glad like something's finally using the lore, like Leviathan and
And
all
not
that
in a
shit.
shitty way.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah.
And the Cenobites aren't just like, hey, we're evil demon bros. We're gonna do shit.
No, don't do that.
Yeah. No, now they're just going back to their roots where it is like, hey, we're gonna make you nut whether you like it or not.
Yeah, there were a couple of lines where I was like, "Woo!" I'm like, "God damn, this is."
Ever been sounded? You will be.
There was that one part where she says something along the lines of like, "There's so much more that the human body can experience" or something.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "And you'll experience all of it before we're done with you." And I was just like, I had a fan out, just fanning myself. I was like, "Oh, Lord."
Yeah, Roland said the same thing.
I bet he did. Woo, yeah.
Juan watched the movie and he was telling me about it, and he was like, "I think you'll like it, but I think you'll think the main character's annoying."
Yeah,
I mean, she's just an addict.
I guess.
I was describing the plot to Josh earlier, boss Josh, and he was like, and I said, I'm like, the main girl's just an addict. She does addict shit, and he started laughing, and he's like, "What's funny is you don't have to explain that to me because I know exactly what you mean." And I was like, well, I mean, she does addict shit, like she acts like a fucking addict. What can I tell you? I thought she was like the only character that was memorable. I mean, I didn't mind because like Cale told me that he felt that the characters were kind of weak. And like I kind of agree, but like for a movie like this, it doesn't really bug me that much.
Yeah.
But she was a good character. I felt like her arc was well done. I felt like she acted her fucking ass off. Yeah, I dug it. I dug it quite a bit. I'll watch the other ones eventually, so Justin won't kill me when I'm sleeping. But yeah, Hellraiser. Go watch it, Justin.
I will.
Oh, will you? I don't
Probably.
think he will. He's not going to.
Just gotta tell myself stop playing Warcraft for a little bit.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's no life in Warcraft. But that's the end of that certified sidetrack segment. But the Evil Dead, as I said, spawned the franchise. Love it. All the way to Ash vs. Evil Dead, which hopefully will get the animated continuation that's been rumored.
I still haven't watched that either.
That's fine. I wish you had, though, because I love Ash vs. Evil Dead. It's a good show. It's a shame it only lasted 3 seasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, in another week or so, we'll talk about Evil Dead 2 after we do a little one-off in between this.
Oh, we got a spin for our next
But we
one-off.
will spin in a little bit. But before that, any final thoughts, Cale? Because I know you got stuff written down. Is there anything else you wanted to say about the Evil Dead before we move on?
Not particularly. There's a couple of other stories, like one where it was once again Sam's turn to sleep in the cabin to make sure shit didn't get stolen. Bruce is coming back with like 2 armfuls of groceries.
Oh, yeah.
And as he's walking down the road, he said that he saw just a big redneck dude with like a big hillbilly beard, a bandolier of shotgun shells, and he said the biggest shotgun I've ever seen in my life just comes walking back from the direction of the cabin. And he was like, as far as I'm concerned, he just came back from killing Sam, and now he's coming to do me.
Oh my God.
And Sam was like, well, what did you do? He's like, I just walked past him and was like, good morning. And the guy just looked at him and was like, morning. And just kept walking. And Sam was like, you said good morning to the guy you thought just killed me?
I love the commentaries are so fun, man, because their dynamic is hilarious. You can tell they're like lifelong friends.
Yeah. Otherwise, they wouldn't tolerate the shit they went through.
Absolutely not.
There's one where David Goodman, the transportation captain, made a pot of chili for everyone, which just knocked them all out.
Oh, I remember this one too.
And like they were just like sleeping all over the cabin. Like people were sleeping on the floor. I think Sam was like sleeping under the table, while someone else was sleeping on the table. And they just lost an entire day of shooting.
Oh my
Because they just
God.
got knocked the hell out. I think Sam woke up, looked at Goodman, and was like, "You drugged me and violated me, didn't you?" And he just went back to sleep.
That's fair. That's very fair.
There was one more where I don't know if they were location scouting. I think they were filming like establishing shots, like from the road, and like they went a little bit out of their way and like crossed a fence. And while they're there filming, they hear one of the guys just yell behind them, "Bull!" And they turn around and apparently they had trespassed onto some farmer's land where he was keeping livestock.
Oh my God.
And one of them was a bull
Oh my God.
that was not happy that they were there. And they just had to run for their lives and get on the other side of the fence
Holy shit.
before the bull got them.
That's like the opposite of Jackass.
Yeah.
You can't roller skate in the buffalo herd. You can't roller skate in the buffalo herd. That's a classic.
Yeah.
And then Johnny Knoxville just eats shit. Love him.
Yep.
And then one more where one of Bruce's iconic blue shirts was just covered in like that fake blood, like the Carol corn
Ugh.
syrup.
Yeah.
And to dry it off, he set it on like one of those like industrial jet heaters.
Oh my God.
And when he had come back to it, he said it was just a solid block, like like that thing had just completely hardened. And he tried to put it back on, and the sleeve broke off.
Oh my God. That's amazing. That's pretty fucking funny.
Yeah, like almost all this shit is in the commentary.
Yeah,
Like,
I think I missed half of it. I was probably zoning out for a little bit because I'm a tired man sometimes.
Just talking about it like Vietnam.
Yeah. All right. I think I heard most of those, but I didn't write them down because I guess I was more interested in the behind the scenes shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was. And then I was going to talk about whatever stories I remembered. But yeah. So, anything else on your final thoughts on the film?
Who are you
Like
looking
what
at?
it means to you? Yeah, you.
Oh. I think Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness are a little bit like closer to me. Like those are the ones I rewatched a lot more.
Uh-huh.
But I was happy going back to this one and finding out I liked it a lot more than I thought I did before. I think now I just have like more of a tolerance for gore and shit like that. I don't know if I did so much back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good to watch it again.
Yeah, because the thing about Evil Dead 2, which we'll talk about when we cover it, is like that to me personally, it kind of makes the first one not necessary viewing because of how it begins.
Yeah.
But like everything that happens in Evil Dead 1 is still canon as far as Ash versus Evil Dead goes.
Yeah, somehow.
So, you know, but I think, but like Sam Raimi talked about how that opening to Evil Dead 2, which is basically just retelling the events of the first film, was meant to be just a recap. So that's kind of how I view it. But at the same time,
Wasn't it because they didn't have the rights to their own
yeah,
movie?
they didn't have the rights to their own movie because, you know, multiple distributors made it real messy.
Yeah.
So, you know.
I think Bruce has described it like watch all of Evil Dead 1, and then like when like at the end when the thing like goes into his face, cut to the part in Evil Dead 2 where he's like flying through the woods.
Yes. Yeah,
And
because
then that'll give you like the full experience.
yeah, because like that's why Army of Darkness couldn't be mentioned in Ash versus Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have the rights to it, which is dumb. But you know, yeah, that's that. But what about you, Justin? You got any last thoughts before I get into mine?
I love this movie. It's great. It's stressful at times, which is great in a horror movie. All the practical gore effects make it just even better. Everyone acted so great, even though they went through hell to make it.
Yeah.
And even the hammy acting, I think, works.
It works.
To
It's
its
part
benefit.
of the charm
It's
of the
part
movie.
of the B-movie charm. Yeah.
When did you first
Great.
watch it? Like, did you watch these when you were young?
I believe like the first time I ever watched them, I was like maybe 7 or 8.
Okay. Sounds about right.
It's pretty young. Yeah.
Past that point, I'd already seen Jeepers Creepers, so this was nothing to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Sounds like our upbringing.
But
She started with RoboCop 3, bro.
Yeah, the good one.
The best one.
The action figure one.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry, Justin. Go ahead.
it's a movie that never gets old.
Yeah,
Like,
I definitely agree.
I
with
could
that.
watch it over and over again and
It
not
is
get bored.
timeless. I know you said before that you like the remake more. Do you still hold that opinion after rewatching this one, or are they about equal footing for you?
I still kind of like the remake more,
Yeah.
just because it's more.
Visceral?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like if the first one had a higher budget.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't wait to
Just
cover
like
that one.
the scene that gets me the most in the remake is when she licks that box cutter and
Yeah.
her tongue
Yeah.
splits.
Yeah,
I
can't
love
wait to
that.
watch that in 4K because I got the 4K release for that. Can't wait. We watched this in 4K too. It looked really good. Justin was bothered by the aspect ratio, because he said he just stares at the black bars on the side of the screen, and I get that. But like, I guess I watch a lot of older movies, so I'm kind of used to it. But I had the same problem.
Well, you know why it annoys me? Because I was watching something on Hulu that is in that ratio, but when I like turn the volume up on my TV and the thing comes up, it shows the part of the screen that's cut off.
How does that happen?
I don't know. But like I turn the volume up and it comes up saying like showing where my volume's increasing, and just because of that little display on the TV, it shows the cut off part of the picture. So I'm like, why can't I make it bigger then?
I'm gonna have to investigate that one day. We'll have to go over to your place and see that in action because that sounds fucking bizarre. But yeah. So for me, Evil Dead is one of those. I'm sorry. I'll show you that in a second, Cale.
I don't want to see it.
No, it's the stupid video I have up.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to see it.
Too late. Whoops, that's my.
If you're listening to this, it says Invader Zim cringe compilation.
Well, no, it's.
Oh wait, I've seen that before. Never mind.
With the perfect
Yeah.
Invader Zim impression. But yeah, so the Evil Dead to me is one of those franchises that I really. It's like one of my favorite horror franchises. A lot of it is because of Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
I mean, I've already said before, I think Evil Dead 2 is my favorite, but Evil Dead 1 is always going to hold a special place in my heart for disgusting me because of the hamburger hand and the pencil in the ankle and shit like that. But yeah, I think this is one of my favorite horror movies, even though it's not like my all-time, you know what I mean? But it's one that I can rewatch over and over again, like
Yeah.
Justin said. Endlessly rewatchable. The whole franchise, honestly. But the first one, I feel, gets a little left behind because of the reputation that like 2 and Army of Darkness have.
Yeah.
Because those had wider releases. But yeah, Evil Dead 1, the Evil Dead, if you will. If you're nasty. I think still holds up. Still a great horror movie. Love the B-movie charm. And, it'll never die. So yeah, that's our episode. But first, we got to figure out what we are watching next week
One-off.
for our one-off. There's 87 possible choices.
Oh my
Damn.
god.
I have a lot of stuff
I
on
want
the
it
list.
to be one of the movies I picked so bad.
I recently added the house that Jack built because I want to torture Justin
Oof.
and myself. Because the same thing will happen if we get
do you mean
120 Days of
torture me?
Sodom or a Serbian film
Shark Attack 3.
or Shark Attack 3 or Carnivorous. Anyway, let's spin it. What's the number gonna be, everybody? I'm so nervous. I'm hoping it's not like anything that I'm gonna hate. 38? What's 38? Where the fuck is my... God damn it, I didn't maximize it.
Let's go to the desktop.
Maximize.
38
Rhinox.
is Green Room. Oh my god.
Oh shit.
Shit.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
I have
Yeah.
no idea what that is.
I think you'll dig it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
I know enough about it to know that it's gonna make us very anxious.
That's one of those like real ones. Like that gives you real shit to be scared of.
I know you've seen that one, Cale. You've told me about it. This is actually one of the movies that you've told me to watch
Yeah.
at one point. So here's the question: do you want to be a part of that episode too, or you want to play it by ear, see how you feel, or what?
I'll play by ear. Maybe.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I will be buying the Blu-ray in a few moments, so that way it'll get here tomorrow and I can start research. So yeah, our next episode is Green Room. Not The Room, starring Tommy Wiseau, and not The Other Room, starring Brie Larson, but Green Room. The one I'm thinking of is Room, right? This is called Room? Okay. Yeah, this is Green Room. And from what I've heard, it's pretty dang good. Cale's sung its praises to me before when we talk about horror movies and shit. So, in fact, we just talked about it with Corbin not too long ago when we were at Adam's
Oh yeah,
place.
talking about what scares us.
He's talking about what scares us and shit. So I'm very excited to be absolutely mortified. So yeah, that's the Evil Dead. Thanks for listening. Thank you, Cale, for being here, my good friend.
Woo.
He'll make some more guest appearances depending on the movie we're doing and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
He's definitely going to be here for the Evil Dead movies though. That's in his contract.
Yeah.
And if he violates it, then we throw him into the woods, and you know what that's going to happen. You know what's going to happen with that. So
I'm fine with it.
yeah, I bet you are. Anyway, so thanks for listening. Follow the fucking Facebook page that Justin runs. Follow me on Twitter at Mustachio Cage. Remember, my first name on there is Desi because that's what my mom should have named me, and it's like a weird stage name thing. You get it. But follow me on there. I post about horror stuff like once every month. I don't know, and then I post about new episodes. And then, thanks for listening. Sub to us on YouTube. Leave us a comment. Next episode is Green Room. Stay gory, stay green, all that. Oh, I forgot to mention, we would all recommend The Evil Dead. Yes, that is that is a hearty recommendation from all of us.
I'm not going to tune in for bad movies. I don't give a shit about that.
Yeah, so yes, we would all recommend The Evil Dead wholeheartedly. Three green thumbs up. Yep. So, without a doubt.
Evil Dead is one of those rare, now that I'm thinking about it, it's one of those rare horror franchises that doesn't really have a bad entry.
No, it does
like
not.
Four good movies, a good series.
Mm-hmm. Good games, for the most part, depending on which one you're talking about.
I mean, they keep the cast, so they do that right.
That's a good thing to do. But anyway, until next time, we'll be here, I guess, just captive in my room. So bye-bye, everybody. Say bye-bye.
Bye.